5 keys that leverage real estate for real change. The first key is to learn. Learn what charitable gifting of real estate is. First key is unlocked. You are in the masterclass. You have key number 1 right now. Key number 2 is to lead generate, because there's no point knowing what this is if we're not going to go out and donations of real estate and talk to people in the community and lead generate for our businesses and our nonprofits. Key number 3 is listing and liquidating. So once we know what charitable gifting of real estate is, once we've started to lead generate, those donors are bringing the donations to the table, now we got a list. Now we have the opportunity, the blessing, the gift of being able to list a legacy listing and liquidate it. Key number 4 is leverage. How do we leverage real estate for real change? Because once again, we can lead generate and bring a donation to the table, but to leverage is to position, partner, promote together. And we'll talk more about that as the day goes on. And then, of course, key number 5 is leaving that legacy. The legacy that is left by the nonprofits, the donors, and all those who are part of what we're doing is massive. Now, we want to share with you the difference between being a specialist and a champion. So, a specialist is someone who has knowledge. They're header. They know a little something different than everyone else in their industry or marketplace. So key number 1, learn, will help you be a specialist. In our case, a charitable real estate specialist. And as we start to get into the other keys, this first key, if you decide to become a certified charitable real estate specialist, you get on this map. Now, on the map, we have different.
One, two, three, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to get back into this. For some reason, it logged me out. So let me go back to where I was, live chat. Okay.
Different colors of emblems. The gold are the real estate agents. The blue is nonprofits. The pink are the other people like financial advisors. In other words, you can become a specialist and get off and leave it at that. But champions actually start to take on the other keys. So when we become that specialist, what happens is we take this master class, we pay a licensing fee that gives us a year's worth of ability to use the logos and the trademarks. We pass the certification exam, and bam, we become a certified charitable real estate specialist. That's what it is to be a specialist. You get certified, you get on the map,
donors and advisors. We're going to talk about all of that. Section number 3 are the details, the documents, the do's and don'ts, what qualifies. as a donation of real estate, etc. Section number 4, we're going to get into, are you a specialist or are you a champion? Meaning, if by the end of this master class, you will have more knowledge, more skill than 99.9% of the people in your marketplace or industry, no matter where you are or what industry you're in. You will have the ability to be a specialist. However, it is imperative for you to be a champion, to take action and start talking to people. And that's completely up to you. Section number 5, we get into who to talk to, what to say, how to say it. Because once again, knowing what it is one thing. What to do with it, well, that's another conversation. So why are you here? Friends, you are here to procure that first donation of real estate. And by the way, you'll notice that there are words that are underlined in this presentation. If you are wanting to get certified, there is a workbook. My assistant can put it in the chat to the side. And you want to have this workbook and go along with it and fill in the blank, whether you print it out and go along and fill it in with a pen, or if you're just keeping up with this. Just want to let you know that's why those words are underlined, so that you know what would be on the test. If you're not becoming a certified specialist, don't worry about it. Now, that first number, 600,000, what does that mean? Let's give you an example so that we can talk about what charitable leverage is. Piece of property is appraised at $600,000. Now, in this example, just to keep the numbers round and easy, let's just say that it's free and clear. There's no mortgage to pay off, $600,000 appraised value. Now, the realtor would get a full commission to list and liquidate this donation of real estate. Let's say that full commission is 6%. There's $36,000 going to the realtor. Now it's split between the buying agent and the selling agent, but you get the drift. They're getting a full commission. To the client or the donor, here's where this number comes from. Because they are donating this piece of real estate that's valued at $600,000, number one, they are not paying capital gains tax. So it depends. What is their tax bracket? What was the basis when they bought the property? There's so many variables, but right off the bat, let's say that there is a 28%, 30% that they're not giving to the government for capital gains tax. That's $200,000 right there. And when they take the $600,000 that they can use as the basis for their tax deduction that comes off of their adjusted gross income, imagine you got your tax return. $600,000 comes off of your income that you're paying taxes on. There's another $275,000 that you're not giving to the government. So that's where that number comes from. The donor is saving $275,000 in taxes to the government. Now, your favorite nonprofit, $600,000 is, let's say that's the appraised value and the sales price. After the $36,000 comes off for the commission, there is $564,000 that are going to the nonprofit world because of this donation. Nothing's going to Uncle Sam, so the full proceeds are going to the nonprofit world. So if you add all that up, that $600,000 property is now leveraged to be a value of $875,000 because it's that much of a value to the community at large. You know, we get into a little bit more of these details if you sit in on the open office hours with our specialized nonprofit. They can get into all the nuances of the numbers and the tax deductions and all that stuff. This is simply giving you the concept of what we mean by charitable leverage, how to take a piece of property valued at $600,000 and make it worth $875,000. Now, why else are you here? Charitable gifting of real estate gives the whether you're for-profit or nonprofit, it gives you the ability to strengthen relationships. You're giving a new tool, a new option to your donors as a nonprofit. You're giving a new option to your clients as a realtor. You are able to gain access to new communities, new donor base, high net worth individuals who not only want to learn about this, but are so grateful when you teach it to them that they're going to actually introduce you to others that are high net worth and or generous. This raises your profile. Whether we're talking about personal or professional, when you are now an advisor to help people give smarter, it raises your profile. And as a real estate agent that earns full commissions, and you can add value for you, your clients, your nonprofit, your community. So now we're talking about that whole charitable leverage. More introductions, more referrals, more fees, more commissions, more donations to the nonprofit world. This is a unique value proposition. It requires no selling. Friends, we do not sell a nonprofit on wanting to bring in 6 times more than what nonprofits who only take in cash. So nonprofits who take in cash versus nonprofits who benefit from non-cash assets, in our case, real estate, grow at 6 times what they would have if they only take cash. Financial outcomes, we just talked about the charitable leveraging. Ultimately, we are making money, making a difference. And that is why we are here. A couple of other things to consider about why you're here. Nonprofit world is a major force. Did you know 1 out of every 10 people you meet or know works for a nonprofit? Major gifts of assets is the most important topic in the nonprofit conferences. This is the awakening. Dr. Russell James is one of our biggest advocates. He has written the foreword for our book, Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not. And he talks about major gifts of assets on a weekly basis. Real estate is the largest asset class in America. 43% of our wealth as a nation is held in real estate. Potential changes to the tax policy. Look, if they start limiting the 1031 tax exchange or increasing capital gains tax, this is a good option and opportunity for people who need to avoid those taxes. New money from gifts of real estate, potential exceeds over $20 billion a year. You're going to learn here that $9 billion a year is already donated to nonprofits through gifts of real estate, but experts say that 2% can go to 6% very easily, and that's why we are here. So here's what you're going to learn today. You're going to learn, why have I never heard of this before? We hear that question all the time. It was the first question I thought when I was sitting in a conference 2.5 years ago. How can I have been in real estate for 15 years and working with groups from, Ronald McDonald House, the Make-A-Wish, and all these fundraisers? Why have I never heard of this before? Who would give their valuable asset of real estate away? You'll learn about that. Why a specialized nonprofit is so important. You'll learn who are the real agents of change, those of us who are here to teach this topic and to bring it to the world. What is charitable leverage? We just talked about that, how to take that valuable piece of property and leverage it to make it worth even more. What do I do with this knowledge? So now that I know what it is, what am I supposed to do with it? How to find the first charitable gift of real estate, you're going to learn about that. And how do I leverage real estate for real change? Social responsibility, positioning, partnering, and promoting together to leverage our resources and relationships for more revenue for the nonprofit world and the for-profit world. So you may have questions. What we would like for you to do is write them down. You can enter them in the chat box. During this special edition, we are going to go through the information really quick. We are going to hold all questions until the end of the whole presentation this time. And the case studies that we normally show in between, we're going to hold all of those to the end as well. So if you have any of these questions, just pop them in. And at the end of our 2 hours together, if you'd like to hang tight, I'll answer the questions at the end. So to get right into the nitty gritty, let's get into this section 1. Section 1, concepts, collaborators. What is this all about? What are we doing here? Let's mention what the connection is between philanthropy, real estate, and the IRS tax code. These are all definitions that I needed to learn and that a lot of people, keep in mind, 99% of folks have never even heard of what we're getting ready to talk about. So let's lay a foundation. Philanthropy and the IRS tax code. Philanthropy truly is when you give any of your time, talent, and treasure to make the world a better place. This is the definition of philanthropy. You do not need to be a Bill Gates. You do not need to be the one donating the real estate or even the real estate agent that is selling the property. You're a philanthropist simply by being here and investing your time right now to learn how to better humankind, mankind. 501c3. People ask all the time, what is that? It is an IRS designation for qualified organizations that provide goods and services for the public good. Now, this whole tax deduction thing was introduced in 1917 for charitable gifts of all kinds, not just real estate, but we focus on the donations of real estate to these 501c3s so that they can be liquidated and fund the programs that they are wanting to fund. So this law was put in place to incentivize all taxpayers, not just the wealthy. We have lots of great stories about people who aren't wealthy. They just donated real estate because it was the right thing to do. Charitable gifting of real estate to a qualified 501c3. That's what a gift is. It's donating it to a 501c3. It provides the nonprofit an asset that it can sell to fund its programs. It entitles the donor to a tax deduction against that adjusted gross income. If the asset is appreciated, if the asset was bought years ago and now it's gone up in appreciation, then they can avoid the capital gain tax that would normally be owed. Sounds simple enough. It really does. It's simple enough to imagine all these nonprofits with all the donors that love them wanting to donate real estate. And believe me, it happens every day. We talk to so many nonprofits who have been receiving phone calls for years of people wanting to donate real estate, and they just didn't know what to do with it. It's the nonprofits themselves that have been stopping these donations. So here's the solution. It's this thing called a specialized nonprofit that exclusively accepts gifts of real estate. They provide the tax benefits for the donors. They absorb all the title and financial risk inherent in all real estate gifts. They work with the brokerage community to sell the real estate. In other words, any marketplace where the real estate is, they work with a local broker to make sure that the value is there. They pay those brokers, those real estate agents,
a full commission to sell the property. Friends, this is important because even though we're helping donors give property away, and even though we're helping nonprofit, we want our real estate friends to know we don't want you to do it for free. They grant the proceeds to any and all nonprofits. Now, these are just a handful, just to give you an idea of all the nonprofits that have actually benefited from gifts of real estate. Keep in mind, this has been around for 100 years. All of these have benefited. The one at the top, Fidelity Charitables, we point out, because there's 1.3 million nonprofits, and they are the biggest one right at the top. They bring in $9 to $13 billion a year themselves. And even they don't want to handle their own gifts of real estate. Here's some colleges, churches, public radio, soup kitchen. You name a genre of nonprofit, and there are nonprofits who have benefited from gifts of real estate. So here's why this specialized nonprofit was created. 43% of our wealth in this country is held in real estate. You see the little pie chart down there? The fact is, cash reserves, pocket change, money that we have just, in cash is only 3%. Our wealth is held in real estate. Yet, only 2% of what the nonprofit world brings in comes from real estate. You'll notice that huge 90% of the pie is coming from 3% of cash. But the 43% of real estate wealth, only 2%. So when you look at that, of the $474 billion a year that comes into nonprofits, there is $9 billion that's coming from real estate, even though 99% of us have never heard of it. So here's the opportunity I was mentioning earlier. That 2% could easily shift to 6.5%. So the $9 billion right now could be $29 billion a year. I want you to sit with that for a second. $9 billion right now, when 99% of the population is clueless. But with people like us, letting people like you know about it, it will shift to $29 billion a year. The question is your nonprofit going to get a piece of that pie? So when you look at the numbers, if the sales per year are $29 billion in real estate, or in other words, $29 billion is donated to nonprofit, that's almost $2 billion a year to our real estate friends in commissions. The average donation is $540,000 to $550,000. As a matter of fact, last year it was actually $557,000. So the commissions are a big part of why the real estate community is getting involved. Every sale needs a local broker, which is exactly why this group was created. The Real Agents of Change was created so that all of the real estate, all of the financial advisors, all of the businesses and communities out there can learn not only how to help fund the nonprofits they love, but how to actually build their business from it. The goal is to make you proactive versus reactive. So my name is Cammie Baker. I was a top 5% realtor. I was on House Hunters way back in the day when I was doing all this promoting as a real estate agent. I learned when I had a car show that I was doing and we were donating all the money to the local nonprofits, I learned that when I was talking to people about the nonprofit work, when I was talking to them about how all this money went to the Live and Let Live farm to rescue horses or to help our firefighters who had died in the line of duty, I learned just by experience that people love to do business with people who are proactive and socially responsible. And because of that, when I learned about charitable gifting of real estate, I realized, oh, we can go from fundraising, holding fundraisers where we are begging our friends to buy raffle tickets and go to another golf tournament, etc. I realized, wow, charitable real estate specialist certification class. What if we taught people about this so that these nonprofits could get $500,000 on average from one donor? So I've got the real estate experience, top 5% in real estate. I have been to thousands of networking events. I've been to 5 to 7 networking events in a day. I've got the nonprofit experience because just by osmosis, I learned that people love to do business. We call it cause marketing campaigns, marketing your business with a cause in mind. Once again, we were creating those. So it just made sense to have a win-win-win for everyone. 2.5 years ago, I'm sitting in that conference, and with my filter of real estate, a nonprofit background, and realizing that only 2% is being given to nonprofits through gifts of real estate, we came up with this system, and that's why you're here. Now, we've got this book that just got finished. It's not even red hot off the presses yet. We've got the PDF. It's ready to start being promoted. This book, my friends, will be in the hands of all nonprofits. It will go in the hands of real estate companies who want to share it with the real estate agents, the financial services industries. And over to the right, Lists to Legacy listing is a month in April. We leverage it as a national awareness campaign so that people know when they are listing a legacy listing, the whole community works together. So this is the end of section 1. What we're going to do is actually go ahead and jump into section number 2. Please keep any questions written and just hold it to the side, and I will address them at the end. Section number 2. What are the benefits of all this to all the stakeholders? What are the strategies? How does it work? Why is it a win-win-win for everyone? Let's talk about this key holders concept. I like to think of it as the triangle of trust, but there's 3 major key holders. Number 1, there's the donors. Donors can be private. Donors can be corporate. We're talking right now about donors of real estate. The advisory community. When you think about advisors, think about anyone who advises people who own real estate. So whether it's a tax accountant, a financial planner, a real estate agent, any of the people who are advising clients who own real estate. And then, of course, there are the nonprofits, the public charities, the donor advised funds, which is something that you'll learn about here shortly in this module. So, triangle of trust. We need donors, we need nonprofits, and we need advisors to make these donations happen. So, the donors are a yes. When it comes to donations of real estate, they want to donate. They're already doing it. They're already calling nonprofits and trying to donate. They're a yes. They get it. They're in. The advisors, very yes. Of course they want to be able to advise
is if they start bogged down with a complicated real transaction and that save, not do. I've had bad experiences that them personally or other nonprofits talk to. The fact is they are just by the acceptances that are completely restricted, say no, we anything but, especially not real